Good evening, my weary academics, and welcome to History to Sleep By, where we nerd out and conk out. If you enjoy calm, narrated history documentaries, or just need a reliable friend to help with restless nights, please subscribe, leave a like, and maybe share a comment about what's happening in your life. That way, you'll always find your way back to us. Now, let's begin tonight's journey. The year was 1781. And the waters off the entrance to the Chesapeake Bay were about to witness a pivotal moment in the American Revolutionary War. The French fleet, under the command of Comte de Grasse, was on a mission to secure the bay for the impending operations at Yorktown. Opposing them, British Admiral Thomas Graves, accompanied by Samuel Hood, sought to break through and provide relief to the beleaguered forces of General Cornwallis. The stage was set for a naval confrontation that would shape the course of history. The geography of the Chesapeake Bay, with its entrance flanked by Cape Henry to the south and Cape Charles to the north, provided a strategic gateway. The winds and sea state played their part, as they always do in naval engagements. On this particular day, the wind favored the French, giving them the windward gauge, a tactical advantage that allowed them to dictate the terms of the engagement. The initial sighting of the opposing fleets occurred in the early light of September 5th. As the British and French fleets maneuvered into position, the tension in the air was almost palpable. The French fleet, with its larger number of ships, began to form a line of battle. The British, determined to break through, sought to engage the enemy and disrupt their plans. The engagement began with the British van and center coming into contact with the French line. The exchange of broadsides was fierce, echoing across the waters, as each side sought to gain the upper hand. The British, however, found themselves at a disadvantage. Their line was uneven, and not all their ships could engage effectively. The French, maintaining their formation, delivered a punishing series of broadsides. Despite the intensity of the battle, no ships were lost outright in the action. Damage was sustained on both sides, with masts splintered and hulls battered. The maneuvering continued, each fleet seeking to exploit any weakness in the other. As the day wore on, it became clear that the French had maintained their control of the bay. Admiral Graves, assessing the situation, made the decision to retire northward for refit. His fleet, though not defeated, was in need of repairs, and the strategic situation demanded caution. The French, under de Grasse, held their position, ensuring that the Chesapeake Bay remained under their control. This allowed them to join forces with the squadron under de Barras, further strengthening their presence. The aftermath of the battle saw casualties and damage on both sides, but the strategic outcome was clear. The French control of the Chesapeake Bay effectively prevented any British naval relief or evacuation of Cornwallis's forces at Yorktown. This blockade was crucial, as it enabled the Franco-American siege that would ultimately force Cornwallis to surrender in October. The Battle of the Chesapeake, though not a decisive naval victory in terms of ships sunk or captured, was a turning point in the war. It demonstrated the importance of sea control and the impact it could have on land operations. The blockade of Yorktown stood firm, and with it, the fate of the British campaign in America was sealed. As we drift into the quietude of night, let us reflect on the significance of this engagement. The calm waters of the Chesapeake, once a theater of conflict, now rest peacefully under the stars. The decisions made, the courage displayed, and the outcomes achieved continue to echo through history, reminding us of the enduring impact of strategic foresight and naval prowess. Sleep well, dear listeners, and dream of the gentle waves that once carried the hopes of nations. As the autumn leaves began to fall gently upon the fields of Virginia, the Siege of Yorktown unfolded with a quiet intensity. The Franco-American forces, under the command of General George Washington and the Comte de Grasse, moved with a deliberate precision that belied the urgency of their mission. The encampment spread like a patchwork quilt across the landscape, each tent a temporary home for soldiers weary from the march, yet resolute in their purpose. The air was filled with the sounds of preparation, the rhythmic hammering of nails into wooden platforms, the distant murmur of voices strategizing under the cover of night, and the occasional crackle of a campfire that offered warmth against the crisp evening chill. The British, led by General Charles Cornwallis, found themselves ensnared in a tightening noose. The redoubt of Yorktown, once a symbol of British strength, now seemed a fragile bastion against the encroaching Allied forces. Supplies dwindled, and morale wavered as the realization set in that reinforcements from the sea would not arrive. The blockade, enforced by the French fleet, had severed the lifeline to the British forces, leaving them isolated and vulnerable. The soldiers, though trained and disciplined, could not ignore the growing sense of inevitability that hung heavily in the air. In the days that followed, the Allied forces began their methodical advance. Trenches were dug with meticulous care, inching ever closer to the British defenses. Artillery pieces were positioned with precision, their barrels pointed ominously toward the heart of the enemy encampment. The first salvo, when it came, was a thunderous declaration of intent. The ground shook with the force of the cannonade, and the night sky was briefly illuminated by the fiery arcs of shot and shell. Yet, amidst the chaos, there was a sense of order, a choreography of war that spoke to the discipline and determination of the besieging forces. For the soldiers in the trenches, each day was a test of endurance and resolve. The work was grueling, the conditions harsh, yet there was a shared understanding of the significance of their efforts. Letters home spoke of longing and hope, of a desire for peace and the end of conflict. The camaraderie forged in the crucible of war was a balm for the hardships endured, a reminder that they were part of something greater than themselves. The nights were filled with quiet conversations, the sharing of stories and dreams as they waited for the dawn and the continuation of their task. Within the British lines, the situation grew increasingly dire. Cornwallis, a seasoned commander, weighed his options with a heavy heart. The prospect of a breakout was fraught with peril, the chances of success slim. Yet the alternative, to remain and face the inevitable, was equally daunting. The decision, when it came, was a reluctant acceptance of the reality that had unfolded. The white flag, a symbol of surrender, was raised with a mixture of relief and resignation. The guns fell silent, and the echoes of battle faded into the stillness of the Virginia countryside. The surrender at Yorktown marked the beginning of the end of the Revolutionary War. The victory was celebrated with a mixture of jubilation and solemn reflection. For Washington and his men, it was a validation of their struggle, a testament to their perseverance and unity. The French allies, whose support had been instrumental, were hailed as brothers in arms, their contribution a vital thread in the tapestry of victory. The British, though defeated, conducted themselves with dignity, their officers and men acknowledging the courage and skill of their adversaries. As the sun set over the fields of Yorktown, casting long shadows across the landscape, the significance of the moment was not lost on those who had witnessed it. The path to independence, once fraught with uncertainty, now seemed assured. The dreams of a new nation, conceived in the minds of its founders, were on the cusp of realization. The journey had been long and arduous, marked by sacrifice and hardship, yet the promise of a brighter future beckoned on the horizon. In the quiet aftermath, as the soldiers packed their belongings and prepared to return to their homes, there was a sense of closure and new beginnings. The fields that had been scarred by conflict would in time heal and flourish. The echoes of battle would fade, replaced by the gentle rhythms of peace. The Chesapeake, its waters calm and serene, would once again become a conduit for commerce and connection, a symbol of the enduring spirit of a nation reborn. As we drift into the embrace of night, let us carry with us the lessons of Yorktown. The courage to stand firm in the face of adversity, the wisdom to seek unity in the pursuit of a common goal, and the hope that, even in the darkest of times, the dawn of a new day is never far away. Sleep well, dear listeners, and dream of the peace that follows the storm, the gentle rustle of leaves in the autumn breeze, and the promise of a new beginning. In the quiet aftermath of victory, the fields of Yorktown lay still, touched by the first light of dawn. The air, once thick with the sounds of cannon fire and the cries of battle, now carried only the soft whispers of the wind. It was a time of reflection, a moment to consider the path that had led to this place of newfound peace. The soldiers, weary but resolute, began to dismantle the encampments that had been their home, through the long and arduous siege. Their thoughts turned to distant homes and loved ones, to the lives they had left behind in pursuit of a dream of freedom. The town itself, nestled along the York River, began to stir with life once more. Its residents, who had endured the trials of war, emerged from their shelters to greet the day. They moved with a quiet determination, tending to the tasks that would restore their community to its former vitality. The streets, which had echoed with the march of troops, now welcomed the gentle steps of children at play. The scent of fresh bread wafted from the bakeries, mingling with the crisp morning air, a reminder of the simple pleasures of peace. As the days passed, the landscape of Yorktown transformed. Fields that had lain fallow during the conflict were tilled anew, their rich soil promising bountiful harvests. Farmers, with hands calloused by toil, sowed seeds with hope, their eyes fixed on the horizon. The river, a silent witness to the tides of history, flowed steadily, its waters a lifeline for the community. Boats, laden with goods, began to navigate its gentle currents, bringing with them the promise of prosperity and renewal. In the hearts of the people, a sense of unity took root. They were bound by the shared experience of hardship and triumph, their differences set aside in the pursuit of a common future. Town meetings, once fraught with tension, became forums for collaboration and progress. Voices that had once been raised in anger now spoke with a quiet resolve, focused on building a better tomorrow. The spirit of cooperation, born from the ashes of conflict, became the foundation upon which they would rebuild. The lessons of Yorktown, etched into the collective memory of the nation, served as a guiding light. The courage and sacrifice of those who had fought for independence inspired generations to come. Stories of valor and perseverance were passed down from parent to child, ensuring that the legacy of the past would not be forgotten. The ideals of liberty and justice, for which so many had given their lives, became the cornerstones of a new society, one that aspired to be a beacon of hope in a world still fraught with challenges. As the seasons turned, the scars of war began to fade, replaced by the vibrant hues of life renewed. Spring brought with it a burst of color, as wildflowers bloomed in fields once trampled by armies. The laughter of children, playing in the meadows, echoed across the land, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Summer followed, its long, sun-drenched days filled with the hum of activity. Families gathered for picnics along the riverbank, their laughter mingling with the gentle lapping of the waves. Autumn arrived, painting the landscape in shades of gold and crimson. The harvest, abundant and rich, was celebrated with festivals and feasts, a time of gratitude and reflection. The community, bound by ties of friendship and kinship, came together to share in the bounty, their hearts full of hope for the future. As winter approached, the first snowflakes fell softly, blanketing the town in a serene white. The world seemed to pause, wrapped in a quiet stillness, as if holding its breath in anticipation of the promise that lay ahead. In the years that followed, Yorktown became a symbol of resilience and renewal, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. Its story, woven into the fabric of the nation, served as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always the possibility of a new beginning. The echoes of the past, though softened by time, continued to resonate, guiding the way forward. And so, as the night deepens and the stars begin to twinkle in the velvet sky, we too can find solace in the knowledge that peace, like the gentle embrace of sleep, is never far away. As the years drifted by, the town of Yorktown quietly embraced its place in the annals of history. The seasons came and went, each leaving its own mark on the landscape. Spring brought with it the vibrant colors of blooming flowers, while summer's warmth invited the laughter of children playing in the fields. Autumn painted the trees in hues of gold and crimson, and winter, with its soft blanket of snow, reminded the townsfolk of the quiet strength that lay beneath the surface. The people of Yorktown, mindful of their heritage, carried on with their lives, each day a testament to the resilience that had seen them through the trials of the past. They tended to their homes, cultivated their gardens, and gathered in the town square to share stories and laughter. The rhythm of life, steady and unyielding, was a comforting presence, a reminder that even as the world changed, some things remained constant. In the heart of the town, The old courthouse stood as a silent witness to the passage of time. Its weathered bricks and sturdy columns bore the scars of history, yet it remained a symbol of justice and community. Within its walls, decisions were made, disputes were settled, and the future was shaped. It was here that the townsfolk gathered to discuss matters of importance, their voices rising and falling in a gentle cadence like the ebb and flow of the tide. Nearby, the church bell tolled softly, marking the hours with a steady, reassuring beat. Its chimes echoed through the streets, calling the faithful to worship and reminding all who heard it of the enduring power of faith. The church, with its graceful spire reaching toward the heavens, was a place of solace and reflection, a sanctuary where the burdens of the world could be laid down, if only for a moment. As the years turned into decades, the town of Yorktown continued to grow and change. New families arrived, bringing with them fresh hopes and dreams. The old mingled with the new, creating a tapestry of life that was rich and varied. The past, though ever present, was not a weight to be borne, but a foundation upon which to build. The river that wound its way through the town was a constant companion, its waters flowing steadily toward the sea. It was a source of life and sustenance, its banks lined with willows that whispered secrets to the wind. Fishermen cast their nets into its depths, their boats bobbing gently on the current. Children splashed in its shallows, their laughter mingling with the sound of the water as it danced over the stones. In the quiet moments when the sun dipped below the horizon and the world was bathed in the soft glow of twilight, the people of Yorktown would pause to reflect on the journey that had brought them to this place. They would sit on their porches, watching as the stars appeared one by one in the night sky, their light a reminder of the infinite possibilities that lay ahead. The town's story, like the river, continued to flow, each chapter a testament to the enduring spirit of those who called it home. It was a story of hope and perseverance, of dreams realized and challenges overcome. It was a story that belonged to everyone and to no one, a collective memory that bound the community together. As the night deepened and the world slipped into a gentle slumber, Yorktown lay beneath a blanket of stars, its heart beating in time with the rhythm of the universe. The past, present, and future were woven together in a seamless tapestry, each thread a part of the whole. And in the stillness of the night, there was a sense of peace, a quiet assurance that no matter what the dawn might bring, the town and its people would endure, as they always had. The gentle murmur of the river, the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze, the distant call of an owl, all these sounds blended into a soothing lullaby, a reminder that the world, though ever-changing, was a place of beauty and wonder. And so, as the stars twinkled overhead and the night wrapped the town in its embrace, Yorktown slept, dreaming of the promise of tomorrow. In the quietude of Yorktown's slumber, the air carried whispers of history, tales of resilience and courage that had shaped the town's spirit. The night sky, vast and eternal, seemed to hold the stories of those who had walked these lands long before, their footsteps echoing softly in the corridors of time. As the moon cast its gentle glow over the rooftops, it illuminated the contours of the past, bringing into focus the moments that had defined this place. The river, a silent witness to the ages, flowed with a steady grace, its waters tracing a path that had seen both triumph and turmoil. Along its banks, the shadows of ancient trees stood sentinel, their roots entwined with the soil that had borne witness to the ebb and flow of human endeavor. These trees, with their gnarled branches reaching skyward, seemed to whisper secrets to the night, their leaves rustling with the weight of memory. In the heart of the town, the old buildings stood as monuments to endurance, their weathered facades bearing the marks of time's passage. Each brick and beam held a story, a testament to the hands that had built them and the lives that had unfolded within their walls. The streets, now quiet and deserted, had once bustled with the energy of commerce and conversation, the hum of daily life a constant backdrop to the unfolding of history. As the night deepened, the air grew cooler, a gentle breeze weaving through the town, carrying with it the scent of earth and foliage. It was a reminder of the natural world that cradled Yorktown, a world that had persisted through the centuries, adapting and enduring alongside the human drama that played out upon its stage. The land, with its rolling hills and fertile fields, had provided sustenance and shelter, its bounty a gift to those who called it home. In the stillness, the town's legacy seemed to breathe, a living presence that connected past and present. The echoes of battles fought and won, of struggles endured and overcome, lingered in the air, a testament to the indomitable spirit that had carried Yorktown through the ages. It was a spirit forged in the fires of adversity, tempered by the passage of time, and strengthened by the bonds of community. The night wore on, the stars tracing their celestial paths across the sky, their light a constant amidst the ever-shifting tapestry of history. In their glow, the dreams of those who had come before mingled with the hopes of those who would follow, a continuum of aspiration and endeavor. It was a reminder that while the world might change, the essence of humanity, its courage, its resilience, its capacity for hope, remained steadfast. As dawn approached, the first light of day began to creep over the horizon, casting a soft glow over the sleeping town. The promise of a new day stirred gently in the air, a quiet anticipation that infused the landscape with a sense of renewal. The river, reflecting the pale hues of morning, seemed to quicken its pace, as if eager to greet the day. The birds, heralds of the dawn, began their chorus, their songs a joyful proclamation of life's persistence. Their melodies wove through the trees, danced along the river's edge, and filled the air with a vibrant energy that spoke of beginnings and possibilities. It was a symphony of life, a celebration of the simple beauty of existence. Yorktown, nestled in its embrace of history and nature, stirred to wakefulness, the dreams of the night giving way to the realities of the day. The town, with its rich tapestry of past and present, stood ready to face whatever lay ahead, its heart beating in time with the rhythm of the world. And as the sun rose, casting its golden light over the landscape, it illuminated the enduring spirit of a place and its people, a testament to the power of hope and the promise of tomorrow.